Thank you very much, Presiding Officer. And while I believe the First Minister and I see each other as adversaries rather than allies, and probably the final session of FMQs reiterated that impression, let me add a little balance in my final remarks to Nicola Sturgeon as First Minister. When Nicola Sturgeon leaves office, she will bring to a close a political career in this chamber that few, if many, can or will match in its length. 24 years of service to her constituents so far, 16 years as a government minister and over 8 years as First Minister. Indeed, since 1999, she has been a permanent fixture in this Parliament and on our party's front bench. In these times of political turbulence, that is staying power that many of us could only ever wish for. She has been a formidable campaigner, as her political opponents over the years can unanimously agree on. And no one can deny that Nicola Sturgeon has left, for better or worse, a mark on our country. We have all lived through the Sturgeon era of Scottish politics, and that era is now coming to an end. And nowhere will that change be felt more keenly than within the ranks of her own party. But returning to the government role, and as First Minister, for Nicola Sturgeon and her predecessors and successors, it remains the rarest of honours. And even rarer still for what Nicola Sturgeon described herself as a working-class girl from Ayrshire. I recognise the positive message it sends that in Scotland every child should have the ability to reach the heights that they dream of. And you know what, Presiding Officer, sometimes dreams do come true. I stand here in this chamber as the only recent politician to beat Nicola Sturgeon. I won the bet I had with Nicola Sturgeon, made back in 2021, £100, and I won that. Just for the record, I have to say that I'm still awaiting payment, and it is perhaps one final example of delays from Nicola Sturgeon's government. But I mean it in all sincerity that the exchanges that we have, have been sometimes difficult, always robust, and we seek to do better in our politics. And I think the message the First Minister had can be listened by everyone in this chamber. And the First Minister has also spoken of the additional responsibility that she has had, and she said this in the past, to help every woman and girl in our country fulfil their own potential. And I think that as the first woman holder of her office, she has been a role model that women and girls can aspire to in Scotland today. These are all achievements for which the First Minister should be rightly proud. Yet while the First Minister is a talented politician, those talents have not always been used to the best of their ability in government. I'm not going to use this session to labour over the arguments that we've had on this side of the chamber time and time again. I simply say this, that on her first day in office, Nicola Sturgeon promised to be the First Minister for all of Scotland, regardless of your politics or your point of view. But for some, too often she used her position to further her party's political objectives, rather than bring the country together and govern in all of Scotland's interests. However, I accept that holding the high office is a great burden and honour. And I think it is right that on this day of all days, we acknowledge the difficult responsibilities that the COVID pandemic placed upon those in power. And along with the First Minister and others, I put on record our thoughts on this side of the chamber for everyone who sadly lost their lives and those who continue to mourn the loss of loved ones. As I said earlier, it's no secret that the First Minister and I are not best friends, and I'm sure she won't miss our weekly FMQ exchanges as she watches on from the backbenches. In my time as Leader of the Opposition, I have asked Nicola Sturgeon 256 questions. Once or twice, I've even got an answer. But away from this chamber, I know that political leadership also takes a personal toll on those who attain the highest office, and it takes a toll on those closest to them as well. I think we could all see that the thanks that the First Minister gave to her family and her staff were difficult for her to articulate, but are keenly felt. There will have been countless times that the First Minister will not have been able to have been there for her family and her friends as she put the demands of leadership first. So I hope that in standing down, the First Minister will be able to take comfort from having more time for family, friends and, of course, her passion, reading. So on behalf of this side of the chamber, while we have passionately disagreed with Nicola Sturgeon over the years and no doubt will continue to do so into the future, we wish her well as she leaves the office of First Minister and for ever the future holds for her.